A reading from the Acts of the Apostles. When the apostles had come together, they asked Jesus, "Lord, is this the time when you will restore the kingdom of Israel?" He replied, "It is not for you to know the times or periods that the Father has set by his own authority, but you will receive power when the Holy Spirit has come upon you, and you will be my witnesses in Jerusalem, in all Judea and Samaria, and to the ends of the earth." When he had said this, as they were watching, he was lifted up, and a cloud took him out of their sight. While he was going and they were gazing up toward heaven, suddenly 2 men in white robes stood by them. They said, "Men of Galilee, why do you stand looking up toward heaven? This Jesus who has been taken up from you into heaven will come in the same way as you saw him go into heaven." Then they returned to Jerusalem from the mount called Olivet, which is near Jerusalem, a Sabbath day's journey away. When they had entered the city, they went to the room upstairs where they were staying. Peter and John and James and Andrew, Philip and Thomas, Bartholomew and Matthew, James son of Alphaeus, and Simon the Zealot, and Judas son of James. All these were constantly devoting themselves to prayer, together with certain women, including Mary the mother of Jesus, as well as his brothers. The word of the Lord.
You know, years ago I was in Israel and went into the upper room where they said that the Last Supper had taken place, and where they said after the crucifixion of Jesus, the disciples went with Jesus' mother Mary to sit and wait in prayer. Years later, I found out that that place was called the Cenacle. And the only reason I found that out was because I went to the Cenacle retreat house and I asked the nun there, "What is the Cenacle?" And she said, "Oh, Father, the Cenacle is where Mary and the disciples waited for Jesus in prayer. It's where Jesus appeared to the disciples, and then a week later appeared again when Thomas was there." But the Cenacle, when I think about it, I think about the mother of Jesus confidently and faithfully waiting for him in prayer, in that secluded room, apart from the rest of the world. And that reminds me very much of Her Majesty Queen Liliuokalani. If you've ever been to Iolani Palace, on the Diamond Head Makai corner on the 2nd floor, there is a room where she lived. The Queen lived for, I believe it was 7 months. You can correct me. It may have been 9, but I think it was 7 months. And she sat there under arrest. But what did she do with her time? Well, the first thing she did was she made a quilt, a beautiful Hawaiian quilt. It's on display in that very room to this day. The other thing she did was she got reports of the news, not because they gave her the news, but she had a lady in waiting who would send her son, or grandson anyway, to deliver flowers every day wrapped in newspaper. And the guards let him right through, and Liliuokalani would place the flowers and arrange them, and then she would take the newspapers that they were wrapped in and find out everything that was going on. The other thing that she did in that room was she wrote many songs, including the Queen's Prayer that you and I sing every Sunday here in church, and is sung in churches throughout the Diocese of Hawaii and other churches on Sunday mornings. And I think that she must have written those songs through prayer, like pray, write, pray, write, pray, write, pray right. She says some incredible things in the Queen's Prayer. You know, "O Lord, your loving mercy is high as the heavens." But the thing that really gets me is she wrote in the third verse, "Mai nana ino ino na hevo kanaka akai hui kala ama ino. Ama ino. O look not on their failings, nor on the sins of men. Forgive with loving kindness, that we might be made pure." Not that the offender might be made pure, but the offended might be made pure. You know, that speaks to somebody who is very, very steeped in Christian faith, which Queen Liliuokalani was. I'm sure, being a human being, that she had her faults, and I think history books will disclose those to us if we dig deep enough. But what strikes me is her Christian faith and her willingness, or her desire to forgive those who took the throne away from her. And because of that, she lived another 20, let's see, the overthrow was in 1898, so she lived 19 years more. And she went and she did works of social justice and advocacy. She established the Queen Liliuokalani Children's Trust. Would she have been able to do that had she not forgiven? I think, I wonder, I don't think I would have been able to, because I would have been self-focused on my resentment and my anger. But she forgave, and she became other-focused, thinking about the benefit of other people. And you know, this is a woman who had a very difficult life. Not only she lost the Hawaiian throne, but she also had a pretty daunting mother-in-law with whom she had to live in Washington Place for many, many years. So, you know, I would like to think of the totality of the woman, Queen Liliuokalani, who kind of, through all that strife, created a cenacle of her own in that room in Iolani Palace, and from that room continued to send goodness out from her heart that definitely benefited the world. You know, you think of her legacy based on forgiveness, and we have music, we have advocacy, we have prayers and things that we have learned from her and from her goodness. So we remember Queen Liliuokalani today, and all that she offered to the Hawaiian Islands and all that she offered to the world, because she had the heart and begged God for the heart to forgive.